Toxic Masculinity. Weekdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.
The next story is Oregon takes actions against racist math.
Oh, yeah, okay. This is hilarious. So this actually has much wider implications because this is all about, critical race theory and pseudo-history, the Afrocentric view of the world, all this kind of stuff. So somehow the Oregon Education Department, this is from a website called LifeSite. They've written this article. Oregon Education Department wants teachers to remove racism from math class. So I read through the article, and I'll tell you what. Oh, and by the way, this was funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And their essential thesis is this. Math is racist because, get this, you have definitive right and wrong answers. And somehow that's like cruel to people of color.
Well, explain this to me because I don't quite understand.
Okay, let's see here. All right. They want to dismantle racism in mathematics instruction.
Well,
yeah.
So if there is wrong answers, it's racist? What?
Yeah, like the idea is like you shouldn't tell black or Hispanic students
that they picked the wrong answer?
That there's any such thing as a wrong answer.
What do you mean?
Okay, let me read. Okay. According to this guide, which is created with the generous financial support of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, teachers who ask to see a student's work, this is a different part, are using their product on paper as a crutch to understand what a student is thinking. Thus, quote, requiring students to show their work reinforces worship of the written word as well as paternalism, end quote. Worship of the written word refers to the theory that relying on writing skills is a key element of white supremacy culture in organizations. I guess because they have to write in English. Well, you could go ahead and learn Swahili and then take your math classes in Africa. There's still going to be right or wrong answers. It's a really weird thing, but notice that they have this really esoteric language. It's really they're like gobbledygook. Almost all this sort of white people are all racist, anti-colonialist, critical race theory, Marxist kind of nonsense. It all has this really difficult to understand language. And if you break that difficult to understand language down, there's a guy, Michael Eric Dyson. Look him up. He talks like this all the time. This is like his natural way of speaking. And I've found in my life that if you're wrong often about things, but you want people to believe that you're right, and you don't want anyone to question you, it's best to just use convoluted language that sounds really smart, and then a lot of people will just respect you because you sound intelligent. Now, I do the opposite, actually. I actually try to clarify everything that I'm saying. I simplify my words, and I try to speak as clearly and transparently as I can, right? Because I want to actually have a conversation with people and maybe teach people things, maybe learn some things. And if I'm wrong, I actually would prefer that would be obvious. But people like this, they don't want you to know that they're wrong because what they're talking about is absolute nonsense. But let's keep reading here. To combat white supremacy culture in organizations, the guide suggests educators ask students to create TikTok videos, silent films, or cartoons about mathematical concepts or procedures instead of showing their written calculations. When it comes to grading, there are many racist pitfalls to avoid, according to the instructional guide. This says, since grades are a way of reinforcing perfectionism, another tenet of white supremacy, according to the manual, teachers are asked to replace their letter grading system with, quote, assessments that highlight student knowledge rather than deficit knowledge. Well, he didn't get any of the math questions right, but he knows a lot about transformers. So good for him. Transformers, they transform. Science fiction, science. Science has a lot of math in it. They're obviously a good student. Boom. I would be awesome at this. They should hire me. Equity grading, they call this. This methodology is in line with, quote-unquote, equity grading, a practice that focuses on equal outcome of student assessments. You are effing kidding me. Calling any difference in outcome, like one student outperforming another, an example of, quote, unconscious and implicit bias, end quote, and therefore racist. Oh, my good Lord. I can't find where it says. Let me see here. Let's see here. I'm trying to find the thing where it says right and wrong answers. Okay, hold on. The everyday teacher actions to which the guide refers includes focusing students on attaining, quote-unquote, the right answer. Such a practice perpetuates the apparently false concept that there are always right answers and wrong answers in mathematics. It's very rare that you have a subject in school that has clearly defined right answers and wrong answers. I would say that math is kind of an exception rather than a rule. Like if you're doing studying literature, there are ways to interpret literature. But math is one of the few subjects that there is absolutely right and wrong answers. And I guess that's why they're targeting it, right? Valeria just went like this. Somebody said the other day, what was it? Oh, it was Biden. Biden said that we're actually supposed to talk about this in another.
Yeah, so just hold it.
I'm not going to hold it. I'm going to say it. Biden said the other day at a
they said minorities.
Town hall.
They said minorities can use a computer. Something.
Yeah,
like
they don't know how to get on the internet. Ethnic minorities.
That's not racist at all.
But also, for years they've proposed this idea that it's difficult for black people or Mexicans or whatever to be able to show ID at the voting booth because they're black or something. I don't know. So, some guy did a great video on this he went around Harlem asking, do you have trouble getting ID? And every person was like, now I got my ID right here. What are you talking about? There is this, I don't know if it's a disingenuous argument or if leftists really are this ignorant. But there's this idea that Mexicans and black people are so stupid that they can't get an ID. It's terrible. I don't know why they perpetuate this nonsense. I understand why, because they're trying to get a policy passed or something like that. They're trying to get their political ideology spread, and so they're using these arguments to support their positions. But you're supporting your positions with essentially racist arguments. And this is like basically that same, I don't know what they would call it, the racism of low expectations. What do they call that? Anyway, the something, there's a little adverb in there or something. But anyway, they have this low expectations of black and Hispanic people. And this is that times a gazillion. It's like, well, black people can't get the answer right. And so you're not allowed to have right and wrong answers. How about you just teach them better? I hate to tell leftists this, especially in Oregon, because it's my home state. But, and this might shock you, black people can get the right answer from time to time. They're actually, some black people are pretty smart, believe it or not. I know that sounds crazy, Joe Biden, because poor people are just as bright as white people. It's kids, right? Poor kids are just as bright as white kids. Anyway, it pisses me off. I'll tell you why it pisses me off. It doesn't piss me off because they're crazy. Of course they're crazy. Some of these leftists are crazy. It pisses me off that this has been picked up by the state of Oregon as a guide to reform their classrooms. No, nothing? No comment? Don't shake your head no. Say no. They can't see you.
Well, I was thinking about when I will have kids, I kind of want to send them to Russia to get an education.
Wait, hold on. We're having kids? What's going on?
No, it's not the... Not yet. I want to send my kids to get education in Russia. Because Russia have a strong, good education. Like, what we have in, like, 5th grade in Russia, American will have in, like, 8th grade or something like that.
Is that actually true?
It's true, because I know what... I saw what kids learning here, and at the same time what we learn there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's... I mean, kind of sad, because America has such, like the Harvard and all of this great colleges, like smart people, but at the same time I would say in average Russia have better education from what I see.
I'm trying to look up the country's best to worst, right? And I can't find a comprehensive list. I'm sure they've got, it's probably easy to find, but oh, here's the states. I don't get this. Country, okay, hold on. Country ratings education. How about that, right? No. Oh, there we go. That's better. Okay, Russia is somewhere in the middle. It's just below, like, Israel.
Mm-hmm.
But the United States is actually significantly further down. Like, Russia's just above 50%. And the United States is maybe 2/3 of the way down the list.
I think in USSR, Russians were even smarter, because we were like the country who is reading the most. Like USSR was like...
And you also have to learn those crazy letters. You gotta be smart to learn that.
Oh, somebody agree with me. That's nice to know. It's
Hey,
good to
hey.
know. It's good to know that people at least understand me.
That is good to know. So, I guess we're gonna have racist education now in public school.
Well, that's not good for minorities.
Oh no! Look, I'll say it again. I said it in the last video. I'll say it in this video. Racism against white people hurts black people. And Latinx people. Latinx is so stupid. Yeah, I do think that our education system needs to be reformed. I'm a huge proponent of the privatization of schools, creating more charter schools, creating more private schools. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, there's no question about it. If you have kids, I mean, unless you live in a kind of a weird state where your public schools are good, I don't see any way how you can put them in public school and be confident they're going to get a good education. They're going to be indoctrinated with this crap. I mean, do everything you can to get them into a good private school. I know not everybody can afford that, but Man, it's such a desperate situation now.
Well, at least like homeschool.
Yeah. All of our nieces and nephews. Well, my nephew isn't old enough to be in school, but all of our nieces are in private school.
I can bring my mom here. She's a teacher.
She might have trouble teaching kids in English.
True.
But it's a good idea. We could teach her English in a year, and then she can... All right, shall we move on to the next story?
Sure. 75% of Republicans want Trump to run the GOP.
Yeah, this is an interesting survey.
Toxic Masculinity. Weekdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.